Awesome. So you were just asking about quinoa and its protein. Quinoa is a source of protein. It does have I think it's about 4 grams of protein per half cup serving. And it is one of the few protein or plant-based complete proteins. I know a lot of people think nuts are a protein or beans are a protein, which they do have some aminos, but they don't have all 9 essential aminos, which makes them an incomplete protein. So our better sources are the eggs and the fish and the chicken and the seafood.
Okay.
And eventually dairy. Dairy is a good source because that's all obviously complete and a good source of protein. So cottage cheese or Greek yogurt, once you bring back dairy, if you do, that's another just good source of protein.
Okay, thanks.
But yeah, so for my vegans, it's a challenge for them to get their protein in unless they're supplementing, like with their protein shake.
Okay.
Oh, good. All right. Oh, good. I'm so glad you're here. So welcome in, everybody. Happy Lunch and Learn Wednesday. And so this week, I feel like this week is probably one of the more important weeks. I'm talking about the title of today is Why Diets Don't Work and What Does. But I will be going into the glycemic index, which if once you understand what that is and what that means, you kind of manipulate the food to put your body in that fat burning zone. And I'll show you that today. And also a deeper dive into some macronutrients, which I'll do a little bit more tomorrow, which, by the way, heads up, there's not going to be a live group call tomorrow. I did pre-record the information that I wanted to share with you, which is a real, like I said, a deeper dive on macronutrients so that you'll know what they are. I'm going to touch on it today, so you'll even know what that means. But tomorrow will be a deeper dive. So check your inbox for the recorded version of what would have been our live call for tomorrow. I am traveling to go see my grandkids, so I will be on the road and will be unable to talk to you guys on Zoom. So I just recorded it. So anyway, I am so glad you guys are all here. Let me get my share. All right, so why diets don't work and what does. So we got a few shout outs today. I'm going to talk about some fad diets. Some you've heard of, some are just absolutely ridiculous. And unmute when you get a chance, or if you think of something. I want to hear about some of the crazy fad diets you guys have tried. If you can think of one or remember one, just for fun. I will talk about some common diets and why you need to know what each of them basically represents from a label reading point of view. I will go over the fat burning foods and the macronutrients. We'll talk about portions, and then also mindset. Diets don't, one of the reasons why diets don't always work is because we don't always have the right mindset. So, and then of course I've got Q&A at the end, but I will go ahead and get started. Here's our funnies, our funnies for the day. I've got Sarah, who is down 20 pounds. I've got several Sarahs, so if that's not you, it's somebody else. So I do have several Sarahs. So Sarah's down 20 pounds, so congratulations to you, Sarah. Christy is also down 20 pounds and her blood pressure has lowered. So she's very excited about that. Jennifer is not only down 22 pounds, but she's also increased her muscle since she started working with us, and her inflammation has been reduced. So that's a big, big deal. Inflammation is the start of everything. If you have pain in your body anywhere, it's because there's some inflammation. And inflammation is the start of any kind of condition or disease. So we want that inflammation to go away. So that is a super, super good sign. And Melissa just made a comment in her journal pages that, the cleanse was a lot easier than she had anticipated. And I just wanted to say that out loud because I know a lot of people are getting ready to come up on a cleanse pretty soon here. And it's scary. I can tell you, I was probably the worst student of all. I was terrified of doing the cleanse. And then, of course, once you get going on it, It really isn't as hard as you think. But by the way, just FYI, if you're going through the course, as you all should be, module 4 has 2 videos on the cleanse. So be sure to go to all trainings. It's up at the top on the left side. If you go to all trainings, it'll show you all of the trainings. So if you're moving through the course a little bit slower and you're getting ready to start the cleanse, hit all trainings and then jump down to module 4 so that you can see why you're doing the cleanse and a reminder of how to do the cleanse. So that's just, it's all part of the program that you guys paid for. So you might as well get into that course and dig in. So there is that. Those are our funnies for the day. All right, so let's talk about some funky diets. Oops. Okay, so the grapefruit diet. Has anybody tried that? This one was also known as the Hollywood diet. And basically, you're just having a grapefruit at each meal. The grapefruit diet does have you avoiding all other fruits and other sugars and even sweet or starchy vegetables. That's what the grapefruit diet suggests, is that you don't eat those things. And it also suggests you don't have to exercise. So again, to me, that's a fad diet. Does grapefruit help your body burn fat? Yeah, it can. It does have some compounds in it that does. But, you know, just eating grapefruit at each meal and not eating any starchy vegetables, yeah, as long as you're eating enough protein, I suppose that could work, but it's still a carb. The Special K diet. This one is you have a bowl of Special K at breakfast and at lunch with low-fat milk, and then a regular meal for your third dinner. But that's basically all carbs. There's a little bit of protein in milk, but it's basically all carbs. So I wouldn't recommend that. Next up, we've got the cabbage soup diet. You guys may have heard of that one. And that came out in the 1950s. And you're just supposed to go just eat this cabbage soup for a week, and it's supposed to be very detoxifying. And it can be. Cabbage can, you know, really clean out your system. However, if you're doing that for a whole week, it is very low protein. And if you don't have a doctor monitoring what you're doing, or you're on a specific diet before and after, it's very, very likely you will gain any weight back. Very likely, highly likely. I've never seen anyone do that and not gain their weight back. This one was a funny one, because I was just Googling funky diet, so this just came up. The baby food diet.
Can I interrupt you? I apologize. What did you just say about the you'll gain weight back? Under what circumstance was that?
If you're just going to go on a cabbage soup diet, or even like a cleanse, like the lemonade cleanse, you just do the cleanse. Oh, I got to lose some weight. I'm going to do the lemonade for 5 days or whatever.
Oh, the weight loss won't stay under those situations.
Yes, unless
Okay,
you
okay, I
have a
gotcha.
system like what we're putting in place. You're prepping for the cleanse, you're on the cleanse, you come off the cleanse, and there's a specific meal plan plus all the supplements. And we are really making sure that once you, before and after your veggie days on either end, that we're implementing more proteins and getting back on those tracks.
Okay,
But
I
if you just
apologize
go,
for the interruption. Thank you.
no problem. A lot of people have done what's called the master cleanse. That should be on this list too. And it's basically like what we have. The master cleanse is lemon juice, maple syrup, and cayenne pepper. And people are on that for 10 days and they lose weight, but you're going to lose muscle if you're doing that for 10 days. And if you don't have a plan or a system, once you come off those 10 days of being on just lemonade, you will gain the weight back. I've just not seen anybody not gain the weight back. And because I've been in the weight loss industry for over 20 years. So it's just, I've seen a lot of different things, and there's so many diets out there. People, you're just drinking protein shakes all day, or these shakes, some of these programs that they're trying to sell you all their products. It just depends on what it is. But if you go off their products, a lot of times you're just gaining the weight back. The baby food diet is you just eat 16 jars of of baby food every day. So I suppose, uh, all right, the Shangri-La diet, this one says you have to drink olive oil between each of your meals. And the idea is that it wards off hunger. It seems to me that would be a lot of fat. As long as as long as you're eating really clean, you could, I don't know about drinking a bunch of it, but that's what that one is. And then Weight Watchers. I'm not the biggest huge fan of Weight Watchers. And, I don't want to poo-poo it too much because I haven't done a deep study on Weight Watchers, but from what I understand, their program is based on point system. So each food item is given a certain amount of points, and then you're supposed to only have so many points in a day. But some of their 0-point foods are things like bananas and some fruits and starches and things that I would personally limit and very much limit. And they're giving it a 0. So I maybe need to do some more study and seeing their logic, why it would be a 0, why a banana would be a 0. We're going to find out why banana should not be a 0 today. But bananas are on the list for 0 points. So there's so many diets out there: low fat, low carb, low calorie, intermittent fasting, zone diet. There's just so many things out there. You definitely don't want to go low fat because we need fat. I'll talk about that. Going too low in your calories, it just slows your metabolism down eventually. And we're going to talk about some low carb diets right about now. So let's get into that. Oh, why did it go out of order? That's not right. Let me do this. That's where we're starting. Okay. The Mediterranean diet, this is primarily a plant-based diet with lots of fruits and lots of vegetables and whole grains, which are all carbohydrates, by the way. Legumes, which are carbohydrates. Healthy fats, seafood, moderate dairy, some fermented dairy like yogurt and kefir. It does limit red meats, sweets, and processed food. So that's not a terrible diet. I might want you to add more protein depending how much protein you're eating. But that's the only little red flag for me that came up with that one. But it sounds like it's fairly healthy. The DASH diet is designed for people with hypertension. So it's going to be more low sodium, low or non-fat dairy kinds of things, fruits and vegetables, fish, poultry, nuts, those kinds of things. So that wouldn't be terrible. And again, if you're looking at food items that are kind of stamped Mediterranean diet or DASH diet, I want you to know what you're getting. So if you have hypertension and something is DASH diet friendly, that might be something that you might choose. There's the carnivore diet. It's fairly low carb. The carnivore diet is pretty much opposite of what we've learned growing up. It's like beef, chicken, lamb, pork, organ meat, beef tallow, butter, whole eggs, chicken and duck fat, full fat raw dairy, and a little bit of fruit and a little bit of honey. My son-in-law is on that carnivore diet, and he does very well. He just does very well, but he's a very, very, very active young man. He's 35 years old, and this is what he prefers. He goes off on occasion, but he does very well on it. Some people really respond well to stuff like that. All right, next up, we've got the Atkins diet, which is a low carb diet. And I'm saying that because, as you can see in this picture, kind of in the middle here, these protein bars or snack bars are stamped with the Atkins label. So if you know that it's Atkins, you're going to know it's going to be, if it's very low carb, let's see, it does allow some carbs over time because Atkins does phases. It does also increase the protein after time, but Atkins is a high fat, medium protein kind of a diet. It's a let's see, let's go here. Now keto or ketogenic. Now Atkins is a little bit more user-friendly. It's going to be a little less restrictive. But I wanted to show you this plate here, just so you can get a good visual of what keto or ketogenic diet is. The keto diet is basically 5% carbs, 25 to 30% protein, and 65 to 70% fat. So if anything is labeled, if it's stamped that it's keto, just know for certainty, know for certain it's going to be a high fat. And fat, by the way, has twice as many calories as carbohydrates or proteins. Carbohydrates and proteins have about 4 calories per gram. Fat has 9 calories per gram. So technically it's more than twice as much. So if it's something is high fat, it's also going to be calorically dense. So if you're going to do intermittent fasting, you would definitely want to pair that with your keto diet. All right. Oh, all right. So just to give you guys an example of what being on keto is, I mean, it's very popular. It was discovered, I want to say 1920 or something like that, that the ketogenic diet was originally discovered that was for people with epilepsy. So when you're going so low in carbs, your body produces what's called ketones. And those ketones trigger something in the brain that reduces those epileptic seizures. But they also discovered people were losing weight going on this kind of diet. So that's why it is one of the more popular diets. And some people can really do well on that. For me, I'm a protein girl. I want my protein in. I want to maintain my lean muscle. And I would rather eat a bigger piece of protein and rather than be drinking oil all day long. And by the way, some people take advantage of this and run with it. When I first learned about it, someone was telling me about it. She was eating all kinds of cheese and bacon and all of these very highly saturated types of fats. And I can't even imagine what your cardiovascular system would look like if those are the kinds of fats you're consuming. If you're going to do keto, stick with your avocados, your nuts, your avocado oils, your olive oils, those kinds of things to keep those healthier fats in, and fewer of the saturated fats, like chicken skin and fat that you find on a steak. Paleo, the difference between paleo and then like Atkins or keto. Atkins and keto are high fat, medium protein. Paleo is higher protein, medium fat. Now, there's a lot of food items on the market today that are stamped with paleo friendly. Some are both paleo and keto. It just means it's not going to have certain things in it, like sugar. But what I like about paleo for you guys is if you are going to the internet or buying a recipe book, if it's paleo friendly, if it's a paleo approved, it's also going to be compliant with our program. Paleo removes legumes. It doesn't allow gluten. It doesn't allow dairy, and it doesn't allow sugar, which is very much like ours. So paleo is definitely a good choice. Paleo is just basically eating how the caveman ate. You know, they didn't have breads and they didn't have, you know, beans. They had berries and they had animals. And if they were near water, they had fish. But that's about it. They didn't have, they had vegetables, but they didn't have breads or grains, so to speak. Not really. And then there's the low glycemic diet, which is the one that I used. And I brought this program in my gym. Years back, I owned a gym and I was bringing a program in to save the gym because I was losing money every month. And I brought in this program, and it was designed to sell these fat inhibitors and carb blockers and, you know, these protein pretzels and all these snacky things, kind of like Nutrisystem, where it's all this food that they were supposed to buy. But it also had a program where it taught about the glycemic index. So I started following it. I couldn't afford to get into my own inventory, so I didn't take any of the pills. But once I learned what the glycemic index was, I thought this is the best thing ever, because I basically learned how to eat to lose weight versus starving myself to lose weight, which is what I always thought I had to do. So let me just give you a visual of this here. Now, if you've been on any of the calls this week, you've already seen this, but I really, really want to make sure you guys understand what's happening in your body when we eat higher glycemic types of foods. So when we're hungry and our blood sugars drop, and we get hungry, we get hangry, we get tired, I get really grumpy, I can cry real easy. And typical American diet, if we get up in the morning, we have a piece of whole wheat bread or something that's high glycemic. Oh, let me get a different pen. All right. If it spikes your blood sugars quickly, it will spike your insulin levels quickly. When it spikes your insulin levels quickly, look what happened. We bypassed the fat burning zone, skipped it right over. When they go up quickly, they plummet quickly. And then we feel hungry, whether we need food or not. We're going to feel hungry, so we're going to eat again. If we eat high glycemic foods, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, and that's how we do our day. So the trick is to eat foods lower on the glycemic index. So you eat something that's lower on the glycemic index, it's going to bring your blood sugars up slower. And then you dip down, you eat a little something, and then you dip up. As long as your carbohydrates are on the lower end of the glycemic index, you're going to land yourself right in that fat burning zone. So that is the demo. I wanted you guys to get that visual. So hopefully that made some sense. Okay, so let's talk about the glycemic index. So anything that is 70 or above is considered high glycemic. Just taste it to your hips or your belly or wherever you tend to gain weight. If it's anything on a 70 or up, put it back on the shelf, keep it at the grocery store, do not have it, just stay away from it. Anything between 55 and 70 is considered medium. Anything below 55 is considered low glycemic. So if it's 56, okay, that's not terrible. But just so you know. Now, in doing this and learning this, all I did was swap out. Like I said, I was learning to eat to lose weight. And so it was really cool, because the more I got into this, and it's only the carbohydrates, by the way, that have a glycemic. Your fats and your proteins don't spike your blood sugars at all. So that's why, sticking with your proteins and healthy fats, primarily, you're going to stay in that fat burning zone. But but the glycemic index isn't the end all be all answer. There's also something called the glycemic load. Okay. So I just wanted to share this with you. I don't want you to have to do a whole lot of math. But the thing with the glycemic load is that it can take into consideration how many carbohydrates are in that food. So, and I get this a lot. I get this a lot of times, people like, oh, I had the chickpea pasta, or I had the lentil pasta, and they're thinking they're doing themselves a favor because, chickpeas or lentils are even on the program now. So why wouldn't that be allowed? Well, the lentils are lower glycemic, but they are very high in carbs. So that's going to change that glycemic load. So let's talk about it. So you got to know what your glycemic index is, and then you got to know how many carbs are in that product. And then you take that answer and you divide it by 100, and that's your glycemic load. So for example, an apple has a glycemic index of 39, which is below the 55. So that's good. It has about 25 grams of carbohydrates. That equals 975. Divided by 100, it's below a 10. Now, for glycemic load, you want below 10. For glycemic index, you want below 55. So 10 to 20 is considered medium. Below 10 is considered low on the load. So white rice, 75 on the glycemic index. Already we know to put that back on the shelf. But let's do the math. It also has 45 grams of carbohydrates for one single serving. So 75 times 45 is 33.75 divided by 100 is 33, almost 34. That is way above the 20, which is considered high. So we do not want to do the white rice, not our friend. Now, here's the reason why I'm even telling you this stuff is because if you go to Google or Siri or Alexa, you know, your smart speaker, which is how I always look up the glycemic index, it has a glycemic index of 51, and it depends on ripeness. So this is all approximate. But a banana also has 28 carbohydrates in it. When you times 51 by 28, it's 1428 divided by 100. It comes in at a 14. Guess what? That's well over the 10. So I would say, nope, I'm putting that banana down. It's going to put me more in that fat storage zone and get me out of that fat burning zone. So for me, I would suggest staying away from bananas. The last one, I don't have it on here. Pasta is another one, because if you go to Google and say, what is the glycemic index of spaghetti? It comes in at about 50, but it has about 43 grams of carbohydrates. So 50 times 43 is 2150 divided by 100 comes into a 21.5. That's well over the 10 and definitely over the 20. So we do not want to do pasta because it's putting us in the fat storage zone. And I just wanted to drive that home. So I don't want you guys to worry about math these days, because but when I first started learning this, Google didn't have the glycemic load for anything. Now it does. If I want to know the glycemic load for a Snickers bar, I can find it. I just ask. So just, you know, check. And again, it's going to be in your carbohydrates, which are fruits, breads, tortillas, rices, pastas, winter squash, those kinds of things. All of those carbs are going to have a glycemic index or a glycemic load number that you might really want to know. All right, so let's get into macronutrients. Bobby, yes.
Hey, so like on ice creams that say carb friendly and stuff, what are they doing to make that happen?
So usually the carb friendly, they have not added sugar, and they've
Okay.
added most of those ice creams. And trust and believe, girl, I look, because that's my mission in life, is to find a way to beat the system. And in a lot of ways I have, like the So Delicious ice cream, it's dairy free and they sweeten it with the right sweeteners. So there's that. But to answer your question, they've taken out sugar, or they did not add sugar, and they usually add sucralose or some kind of sweetener, which is the bummer part. Now there's naturally occurring sugars in dairy. It's called lactose, which I'm sure you're familiar with that, but so it's not going to be carb free, but any dairy like cottage cheese or yogurt, it's going to have some carbs. Don't worry about those. Those are good. It's not going to spike your blood sugars as long as it's not added sugars.
Okay. Because I've noticed two tortillas that are like, they advertise it carb friendly or something, but I don't, that's why I'm here today to learn about
No,
it.
no, and I'm so glad you're talking about that. I appreciate that. And that helps me with what my dialogue is. I really appreciate that. So on the tortillas, and again, I played with a lot of those too. What they do is instead of like a wheat flour or white flour that does spike your blood sugars and put you right into that fat burning zone, what they've done is swapped out some of that for fiber. Now, fiber is a carbohydrate, but your body does not absorb it. So if it has, for example, 20 net carbs, but if it has 15 grams of fiber, you're going to minus 15 from the 20, and that would be 5 net carbs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. So when you see like there on your label, there's the headline of carbohydrates. Below that's going to be fiber. Below that's going to be sugar. Below that's going to be added sugar. And below that's going to be any sugar alcohols, if there are any. You minus out the sugar alcohols too. So on an ice cream, if there's like erythritol in that ice cream, so say it has 20 carbs just for math, and it has 10 grams of fiber in that ice cream, but it also has 10 grams of erythritol, which is a sugar alcohol, that would be 0 net carbs. Because the 10 fibers you minus out and the 10 sugar alcohols you minus out. So that would leave you at a 0, if that were the case.
Okay. That's some good info. Now to go label reading.
Yeah. Well, the only way to do it is practice it. So someone else is raising their hand. I can't tell who it was. Oh, it's me. I didn't touch it. How am I raising my hand? Pick me, pick me. I don't know how to undo that. All right, whatever. Anyway, so getting back to macronutrients. There's technically only 3. But what I kind of want to go over with you today, and I'll go over it again tomorrow in the recording for tomorrow. But there's technically only 3. There's proteins, there's carbs, and there's fats. Now, as you can see in this picture, and they did a wonderful job, the carbs I want you to get most of are the vegetables. So for me, I like to make it into 4 categories. So okay. 4 categories. So because vegetables go in the carb category, I don't want you to limit your carbs. I mean, I don't want you to limit your veggies, just your starchy carbs like breads and rices and pastas and winter squash and, things of that nature. All right. So is there a system? Yes. So if at your meals, and this is per meal, I want to see you get 20 grams of protein at each meal, at least, around 20 grams of carbs, and technically it's 15 to 20 grams of fats. And what does that look like? 20 grams is going to be about 4 ounces of chicken, fish, or seafood. 20 carbs would be just like that half cup of brown rice. That's probably about a 24, but it's close enough. And then 20 grams of fat would be a couple of tablespoons of your salad dressings, a tablespoon of oil, and that's actually going to be closer to 15, which we really want anyway. Just trying to make it easy to remember. Like a single serving, a quarter cup of nuts is, depending on the nut, would be around 15 to 20 grams of fats. So let's get into that a little bit more per meal. Sorry. All right, so let's talk about portions. Now, I want to go through this with you guys today. So because someday, and like Bobby, you're already graduated. Teresa, you're already graduated. Connie, I believe you are too. But if you're done, I don't want to count calories anymore. Please don't make me count calories. I hate counting calories. If that's kind of where you're at, some people want to count calories because it makes them feel safe. That's perfectly fine. But just so you can get an idea, if you pick one thing from each category and stay in portion control, your calories will work. But you can only pick one thing and you've got to stay in portion control. So what does that look like? Well, guess what? Vegetables, like regular vegetables, from asparagus to zucchini, broccoli, cabbage, all your lettuces, your romaines and your spinach and your broccoli and bell peppers, just all of that sort of stuff, all you can eat. So there's no limit. So half your plate really should be vegetables. You're going to get your carbs in with some vegetables. They're very low because they're very low in sugars. So there's that. Oh, and the reason we want vegetables is for your health. When do we ever want to skip health? Never. So if at all possible, and I know it's a challenge a lot of the times, if it's at all possible, throw an extra vegetable in with that meal, every meal, and or even at a snack. That's just what I would recommend. This is where your anti-aging is. We just did anti-aging, what was it, last week? And so you know the importance of all the different colors of the vegetables. Someone's in chat. Does it matter if the veggies are raw or cooked? Great question. Thank you for that. Yes and no. Yes and no. That's a great question. Raw and cooked bring different things to the table. So for example, if I have a tomato and if I have tomato sauce, like a spaghetti sauce, like a marinara sauce, the tomatoes are cooked. Actually, the spaghetti sauce is going to be higher in lycopene, which is an anti-cancer, than the actual fresh tomato. However, the fresh tomato is going to be higher in vitamin C because when you cook, especially spaghetti sauce, you simmer it for hours sometimes, it's going to kill off a lot of the vitamin C. So they both matter and they both count. So they both bring something different to the table. So I would say mix it up. Have some cooked. A lot of them, if you have them slightly cooked, like broccolis and cauliflower, things like that, you're going to get more of the, especially the vitamin C part of it. The more you cook it, the vitamin C does cook out eventually. So just be aware of that. But great question. Carbs. Now, carbs are for energy. And as you guys know, you want to do a half a cup up to 2 meals a day. And again, because if it's your energy. So if it's the end of the day and you're going to sit down and turn the TV on or work on your computer or read your book, you don't really need energy for that. So that would be a good time to pass on the carbs. And that's really why we say not in the evening. You can have them in the evening, no big deal, especially if you're going to go you're going to clean the house after dinner or do something. Or if you're like me, you might go out dancing after dinner. Then yeah, have a little bit of carb. But your carbs are your fruits, your winter squash, your beets, your peas, your lentils, your quinoa, your brown rice. If you are bringing back bread, one slice, not big sourdough. Sourdough is a good choice. It's lower glycemic, but you would want to stick with a single sandwich size slice, a small piece of fruit, like one apple. Apricots are really low. Cherries are really low. Again, we're going to pass on those bananas because now we know why. All right, so then the next up, we've got protein. And why do we have protein? It is to improve or increase your metabolism. How much protein should you have? About your desired weight, not your current weight, but your desired weight. So if you're 200 and you want to be 150, take 150 times 0.7. And that'll give you an idea of how much protein you should have throughout the day. 3 to 4 ounces is going to get you to that 20 grams for the ladies, and 5 to 6 ounces is going to get you closer to that 30, 35 grams, which men, especially if they're taller, you're going to need more. So we do want to try to get 20 to 30 grams per meal, because most of us are going to be around 90 to 100, especially for the females, grams per day. But we want to not skip our protein because it's going to increase or improve our metabolism. Fats are really, really important. They reduce cravings. How do they reduce cravings? Well, you can't absorb your fat-soluble vitamins without consuming fat. Fat-soluble vitamins are vitamin A, D, E, and K. Those are important. Those are your antioxidants. We need all of those. Last week, we talked about all that stuff. Now you know why, how important they are. So we don't eat fat. We're not going to absorb them, and we're not going to have all of the benefits that those vitamins bring us. What is a serving? Half an avocado. This is going to get you to that 15 to 20 grams, by the way. Half an avocado, 2 tablespoons of salad dressing, tablespoon of oil, 1.5 of butter, 2 of nut butter, 1/4 cup of nuts, 3 egg yolks would get you to 15. Each egg yolk is 5, so just keep that in mind. And 4 ounces of salmon is going to get you protein about 20 grams of protein and 15 grams of fat. So a piece of salmon covers both. So again, we want to pick one thing from each of the categories, staying in portion control, and your calories will be right. So let's put that all together. So if we pick one thing from each category, we go to the Mexican restaurant, we say, oh, look, there's a tostada salad. That sounds good. So the waiter comes, I would say, I'd like the tostada salad, but can you eliminate the bowl? Because we know we don't want it, the tortilla deep fried. A, it's going to be a flour tortilla usually. And B, we don't know what kind of oil they are. We kind of do know, because we know it's not going to be avocado oil. We just know it's likely going to be that vegetable oil, which is an inflammatory. So we just say, put it on a plate, please. Great. It's going to be on a bed of romaine lettuce, hopefully, maybe some shredded cabbage, maybe some pico de gallo with diced tomatoes and cilantro and onion. These are all vegetables. Great. Pile that stuff on. That's from your veggie category. Box checked. I got a vegetable at that meal. Then I'm given a choice. I can have steak, or I can have shrimp, or I can have salmon, or I can have chicken, whatever. So say I order the chicken. Great. I've had one serving of chicken, box checked. My protein category is taken. The next category would be fats, maybe. And I see that it comes with avocados. It also comes with sour cream and cheese. But I'm only going to pick one. And we all know the better choice is the avocado, so pick the avocado. But even if I'm in the mood to be a little bit naughty, I'm going to have to get rid of the avocado and the sour cream and just keep the cheese. I'm only going to pick one. Even though the cheese and the sour cream are naughty and not as good for us, I'm just saying this is how you manage it. And then the last category is carbohydrates. So we see on the menu, it also comes with rice and beans. Well, in the Mexican restaurant, rice, the Spanish rice is made with white rice. Well, now we all both know what white rice is going to do in our body, so I don't want that one. Let's get the whole beans. They're healthy, generally speaking. So I'm just going to have them get me the whole black beans if that's what they have. That would be a better choice over the refrieds. Or I could just say none of the above. I could just have them eliminated if I'm not in the mood for any of the carbs. And so that's how I would manage using that system. So you don't have to count calories, picking one thing from each category and staying within your portion control. And then lastly, why diets don't work and what does is mindset. If I don't care if you're paleo or keto or the DASH diet or the baby food diet or whatever diet you're on, if your mindset isn't in the right place, we're going to go back to our old ways. I can't tell you through the years how many people, they do the program, they lose the weight, they do fine, and then they circle back 6 months later, they say, yeah, I put my weight back on. I'm going to do your program again. And then they do it again. So we've got to get our head in the right place. So keeping your focus on the things that will serve you. Energy flows where focus goes. So if I'm looking up paleo recipes, if I'm looking up new exercises to do, if I'm looking up new recipes, if I'm looking, for new gym or whatever the case may be, I'm going to be constantly reminding my brain, my reticular activating system, that is what I'm doing. And so I will start to see more of those things. Big Brother knows, but sometimes I think of something and somehow I'm getting that ad. So somehow Big Brother knows what I'm thinking. But if I'm focusing on, oh, that pizza looks really good, and oh, that chocolate ice cream at 31 flavors is it's my favorite. I really would, if you're focusing on the wrong things, if you're on Pinterest looking at desserts or pasta dishes, how in the heck are we going to stay away from it? So we've got to switch our focus and focus on the things. By you guys showing up to these classes, you are switching your focus. If you out of sight, out of mind, if you graduate and you never come back to these classes, that's how we fall backwards. And so for all of you that have graduated and still continue to join, kudos to you, because that's how we stay on track. Are we creating new habits? We talked about that a couple weeks ago, the atomic habits and how to create new habits, making sure that it's easy, making sure that it's visible, making sure it's attractive and a reward attached to it. We want to practice those new habits. And then focusing on the little goals. It's okay, we have 50 pounds to lose or 100 pounds to lose or whatever the case may be. That can be quite daunting. So you got to chunk it down. And really it's what do you got to do in the next meal? Or what do you got to do just today? So today it's lunchtime, so maybe the next meal is going to be lunch. Your only focus should be on how can I have my healthy meal at this lunch? Maybe after work tonight, you're going to go to the gym. All right, focus on that next goal. You already have that set in your mind. You know the Zumba class starts at 6 p.m. So you know what time it is, you know where it is, you know what you're going to wear. Focusing on those little goals. You don't have to worry about all the workouts for the next year. You don't have to worry about all the food for the next year. You're just going to worry about the next one. Little teeny tiny goals. Remember, he said, if you improve 1% every day for a year, you're 37% better. Taking 100% responsibility. This is the hard one, and just taking full responsibility for all of the choices that we make and every single day. It's your mother-in-law comes over and she wants to come over and make fried bread. Oh, it's her fault that I ate fried bread. Or it's raining outside, I can't exercise, or my car is broken, I can't get to the gym. Taking 100, well, what can I do? So switch it out. Well, what can I do? Well, I can turn YouTube on. I don't have to go outside. I don't have to drive. And I can do a workout from YouTube. As far as the fried bread goes, I can thank her very much for making that. But I'm not eating any bread right now because I'm gluten-free. But thank you so much. But taking full responsibility, the reason why we don't, it's so much easier to blame because it's just that it's somebody else's fault. It's some other reason. It's not my fault. And that's why we do it. That's why we do that. If it's somebody else's fault, or if it's the fault of the weather, or the fault of the in-laws, or the fault of the kids, or the husband brought home a pizza, if it's somebody else's fault, it's easier. But if I take full responsibility, the good news with that is it's very empowering. So if I take full responsibility for my own choices and my own actions, it's just more empowering. It's a practice, though. It's a practice. The next one is guilt. Dance with the guilt. If I go off and I eat the cookie, or it's Taco Tuesday last night and I ate a taco, the guilt is there for a reason, but don't let it consume you. You cannot let it consume. Oh my God, I ate the cookie, I ate the cookie, I ate the cookie. Oh my God, I'm terrible, I suck, I this. And that negative self-talk is horrible. This is called affirmations. And if I affirm over and over and over again, I'm an idiot, I suck, I failed. This is affirmations. People say affirmations don't work. Yes, they do. We're just doing the wrong ones. But if you have a guilt, if you ate the cookie, use it as a compass, like, oh, I'm off track. That compass, just get back on track. So you ate the cookie, you can't uneat it. It's done. It's past. Get over it, move forward, and just do the best you can with the next meal and the next workout and the next meal plan. Oh, I guess that's it. Anybody have any questions or comments? By the way, you guys, please try to get to drinfantino.club because the Facebook will be eventually going away. And once you get into drinfantino.club, you will see it is so much easier to find the replays of the group calls. But they're all organized by categories. So if you're interested in travel ideas or fitness ideas or label reading or whatever, you can just click on those and it's all going to be the latest one, and you'll see all of them by date. So it's just real easy to find what you're looking for, whether it's just the latest one or it's a specific topic that's going to apply to something you need help with. And you can still go there and ask your questions. Of course, if you are my coaching client, you have direct access to me. You don't have to go there to ask your questions. You can, but it takes me a little bit longer because I don't always see those until sometimes it's a day later. You can shoot me a quick text if you're my coaching client. So with that, does anybody have anything they want to run by me or?
Yeah, I'm on the site on my phone on the new, what you were just describing, and I see all the categories, which is very nice that to have them labeled, you know, into label and kitchen hacks, etc. So then the thread is just like the Facebook book would be. It's these classes in order.
Yes, you will see the most recent post at the top, going to the less recent.
Okay. Okay.
But if you're looking for a category like travel, that will be on the left and you can just look. And I think I mean, we just started this, so there's not that many in there. I'm starting to fill it up with the old ones. And then as we go, the newer ones will come. So you'll see I use the same PowerPoints, but I say something different every single time because I don't have a script, as you can guess, you know.
Okay, that sounds good. It looks very user friendly.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else? So it was just telling me that it looks like you're done talking. We're going to lower your hand. Remember, I couldn't figure out how to lower my hand. I don't know how some of this stuff works. I use it, but I don't know how it works. Anybody have something outside of this topic they want to run by? It could be this topic or a different topic.
I just want to add, and I probably have done this once before, but the lowering the inflammation was a huge benefit for me with this. Huge benefit. So it's given me encouragement that I can go forward and try to maintain that. I get a thermoscan instead of a mammogram, and it's on it indicates inflammation earlier, and I've been kind of struggling with getting those numbers to be what I want. And after doing this program, they were the best possible. So I was like tickled pink, to say the least, and so was my doctor. And so when you were talking earlier about the anti-inflammatory benefits of this, boy, I believe in that 100%. It was very effective. So
I'm so
just
happy for
encouragement
that.
to others.
That's great. And it's just not an obvious thing. It's most people don't sign up. I'm here because I have inflammation. It's usually the gut or the liver or the weight. Those are probably the primary things, or hormones are off or whatever, but that's a big deal. And that's a part of it. That's part of the problem why we have liver and gut and weight issues. So.
And physically, I would not have been able to tell the difference. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I wasn't feeling inflamed. And so it is just that much more encouraging that internally this was a difference. You know, I feel like the program made. So thank you for that.
That's great. That's great. Nothing better than, your doctor's numbers going all in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's validation. I've been doing this thing, and so especially if you get stuck and the weight isn't coming off, we have those plateaus. So if you get stuck, but it's validation, well, my blood pressure's better, my blood sugars are better, I'm off my thyroid, I'm off my, metformin, whatever the things, it's just wonderful. I love to hear those things. And somebody was asking me about they're kind of stuck in their weight. And if you're doing everything right, the only thing I would say, like, I have to know exactly what exactly you're doing, because the answer is going to be change it. Just change it a little bit, tweak it. So if you're going to yoga 3 times a week, There's nothing wrong with yoga. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's going to do strength training. It does can get your heart rate up if you get a good power yoga in there. But if I want to make a change, if I'm getting stuck, I would have to get out of that yoga class or add something else. Get in the spin class, go for hikes, do something a little bit different. Or the answer could be if I'm very consistent with my calories, I'm sticking close to 1200, I would say then calorie cycle. Go up and down, calorie cycle. Or another option as far as cycling goes is you can carb cycle. So you can have some carbohydrates, 2 or 3 servings on one day, and then cut them completely out another day. So it's constantly surprising the body is how we can get out of being stuck. So someone was asking me about that earlier, and I just wanted to put that in the class because she's here. All right, I guess going once, going twice. Well, thank you guys for being here tonight or today. I appreciate, gosh, the questions were great today. I appreciate those. Really helps me know what to talk about in these calls. So thank you for that. And I will see you guys next week. So, or you'll see me tomorrow because you'll get me in your email. Oh, and next week, real quick, next week, heads up. Next week, I'm talking about physical fitness. I'm doing a 3-part series on fitness. And so next week is the physical fitness. So it's all exercise ideas. And I'm adding a 5th group call. So be prepared Friday morning. I'm going to do a stretch class. So where it's going to be 8:30 on Friday morning Pacific time. So I don't know where you guys are at, but 8:30 Friday morning Pacific time. Wear something comfy, gym clothes, stretchy clothes, yoga pants, whatever. I'm going to take you through a stretch class. If you'd like to join me, I would love to have you, but I'm just put that in your calendar now if that sounds interesting to you. So
Tammy, as somebody who's already been through the program, will I still get that email for tomorrow? I'm just wondering, how do I have access to that, or do I just wait till it comes out on the?
do you get the Friday replay of the
No.
Wednesday? Oh, then you might not.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, I can wait till it comes out.
Let me
don't-
let me look at how you're tagged, because we use a system that tags you. So if you've completed the program, yes, I send it to all the people that have completed. Or all the people on maintenance. I tag maintenance, completed, current, all the things.
Okay.
But if you're mislabeled or you've unsubscribed in any way, then that's why you're not getting it, or it's going into your spam.
Well, that's why I had asked you for the link again for this, because I don't get those weekly like I used to get them. You know,
I think the weekly invites don't come to completed. But
which is fine. I'm all set. You know what I'm saying? But I just was wondering about that for tomorrow. Either way, I'll be able to get it on if you don't get to it, I'll be able to get it on the new site. Eventually.
Yeah, I'll load those up tonight.
Tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good enough.
Okay, all right.
Thanks.
All right, you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.